Hey folks, Corey sent me another box and we're gonna unbox it today. You already know what it is. It's time for Pecktec's take on brine shrimp. It's all coming up right after this. Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec and Corey has been sending me some packages and we've got a really interesting one to check out today. Let's take a quick look, shall we? Oh, here we go. Okay, so let me start by saying I've seen about 1 million videos on keeping brine shrimp, and I'm going to try to be a little bit all of those and none of those. Before I even get started with this product, which is a really interesting product, I think, but before I really get started on that, I want to just talk to you a little bit about brine shrimp in general. If you're an old school person that's done this a long time and you've had your own way to do it, I'm sure that's probably very fine and effective. I went to Brine Shrimp Direct and I saw a very concise list of the things that are required according to them. I'm going to throw that out there as a general information for anybody that's trying to do this with any sort of brine shrimp hatchery device, and there are lots of different devices. So my research, and basically, which is just watching lots and lots of videos. Now I've kept brine shrimp before, but I was never really that serious about it. It was kind of like maybe a little weekend project, and before I made videos even, it's been a while. And in my time as a fish keeper, I've encountered lots and lots of people that have made these videos, and it seems like a real easy setup to do. For some reason, I always want to do it in the wintertime when it would be hardest, and that's mostly due to the temperature that it needs to be. A lot of other videos I saw, the fish keepers they have fish rooms, and I don't really have a dedicated fish room that I can keep to that temperature. It would be much easier for me if I could. My wife likes it a little bit on the chilly side in the house, so most of my aquariums have heaters because they need them, and that'll affect some of the decisions I make with this product today. But I did want to throw out some information that's just kind of good general information for anybody that's looking to grow brine shrimp, and that's according to Brine Shrimp Direct. They want you to succeed with their product, so I trust the information that they gave. Some of the things didn't seem to have reasons and even conflict with this product and the way it's set up. But like I said, I haven't kept brine shrimp in a long time, and all I know is just kind of this amalgam of information from all these different sources, and this seemed to be the most interesting and the most direct to the point. Consolidated into just some bullet points anyway. Okay, so before I get started though, let me go really quickly over the stuff that came in this box this month. Okay, so right off the bat, something that's pretty essential for something like this is a air pump, and this is a really interesting one. This is a USB powered, and it came with this little adapter, or you can plug this into like a smart plug in your wall. I'm not sure what the red versus the blue means. I'll have to look at that later. But maybe it's like more powerful. Maybe it's a way to modulate how this goes. I thought it was interesting too. It came with this, which I initially thought would be like for pulling the shrimp out. You know, you could like twist this and let some of the shrimp come out, or you know, the brine shrimp. But I actually think this is maybe to adjust the air. So you could cut a piece of your tubing down a little bit, add this in somewhere before, somewhere before your pump. Add that in, and you could regulate the amount of air going in. I'm actually not going to use this right away. I might plug it in and just kind of see how it works. But the plan for now is to attach this to my 210, which already has an air pump going with 2 ports. And it's regulated too. But this is really, really neat. Really great little emergency one too, because it's USB powered. I can plug it into the things that, the little emergency battery powered things I have for my phone, which make this a great little travel air pump if I'm going to a show or something like that. And I want to add a little air to the water just to make the trip a little bit nicer maybe. Another item that came with this little kit was some Fritz salts, and hopefully you can see this real well. Fritz A+ aquarium salt. On a number of videos I've seen, and for brine shrimp in general, you can use Any kind of salt, it seemed like a lot of Morton salt and stuff like that. It did state, if I remember correctly, it did state not to use iodine salt on that Brine Shrimp Direct bullet points. You could definitely use aquarium salt, and you could probably, and something like this. I don't know if there's a specific advantage with the Fritz over other things. I mean, they've got their bullet points too, and I'm sure they're all valid points, good points, but I'm not sure in terms of hatching shrimp if it would make any difference at all. Because you could use those salts for a lot of different things. Then of course, Corey the man with his own tape, the man with his own box. Did you guys see that? It's printed right on there. It's not a sticker. It didn't stamp that. How do you do that? Corey's got his own tape, his own box, and now brine shrimp. Brine shrimp eggs. So for my research in brine shrimp eggs, the best thing to do is maybe take a small portion that you might use over the course of a few weeks and pull that aside. The rest of it you can refrigerate, and if it's going to be long term, like you're not going to be doing it for a long time, you can freeze it, and this will last almost forever. I don't know exactly how long they last, but apparently they last a very, very long time if they're frozen. But it could take a long time to hatch if you take them directly from frozen to put them in your blender. This also came with a pipette. And a pipette is a small tube that will allow you to extract, you could possibly extract shrimp with this. There's like a million uses for one of these. It's always good to have a few of these around. I use them for doing water tests. I'll pull out the water I need for my water tests. 2 of these is about right. Also came with a really good amount of really nice air hose. It's thick, it's squishy, it's black. I love it. And of course it came with the Zis. Look at this! They call it the Artima blender. Artima is just another word for brine shrimp. Or maybe I'm getting that completely wrong, but a lot of people refer to both Artima and brine shrimp in the same breath. And it's got a little bit of instructions to kind of show you how it works. This valve did come separately. I've already installed it. Basically, when we get down to the blender itself, it's a really neat little mechanism. It comes with a stand, but really the strength of this thing is the versatility. It's got this screw-in part at the bottom. I've already got aquarium water in it. And it's got this screw-on part at the bottom, and what that does is, we'll just take a little cup. You can just twist this a little bit, and lets the water come out the bottom. Now what happens is, okay, now I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. So one of the big criticisms I've seen of this actually starts right here, and that it has this stand, but obviously like a cup would be way too tall. Now I have seen in other videos a guy used a little ramekin to kind of pull out his brine shrimp. I can tell you as a person with kind of like larger hands, it would be kind of difficult to get in here and work with this, but what I really think this is more for is to use kind of like I was showing you, where while it's being incubated and it's churning and stuff, if you're able to keep it outside of an aquarium, or you choose to keep it outside of an aquarium, you can, like another thing, like an old school thing that people do is they take an incandescent light, something that generates heat, and they just point it right at this thing and they leave it through the whole hatching cycle. So if you're going to do that, or your fish room just happens to be at 80 degrees or so, you can leave this just on a stand somewhere. And then when you go to use it, like when it's all over, to my mind, the easiest thing, when it's all over, pull it off and just do what I just did. What's going to happen is the brine shrimp are going to hatch, right? So the shells will float after it hatches. So the shells are going to be all at the top. And then the brine shrimp will swim down, like especially if you put a light down here, the brine shrimp will swim down to the light. I think if you stop churning the water, they'll kind of collect down there anyway. They kind of get tired and they end up kind of in a big pile at the bottom anyway. But ideally what should happen is they will come out of this tube first before this. So you just want to extract as much as you can out the bottom, and then you could go back. Then in theory, like you wouldn't even have to pull them all out. You could pull out an amount of them and then put this back and just turn it back on. Maybe refill some of the thing if you had a pre-made water. The next step is you're going to take a fish net. Now, Corey didn't send me this, but I've had one of these sitting around for a while, and it's a brine shrimp net. They're usually white, like this. And these have a small enough mesh to where they'll catch brine shrimp, but they'll let water through. So that you could then take that water that you just used. So if we pretend like this really had brine shrimp in it, and we took our brine shrimp net, we could just filter out the shrimp, returning the water right to this container if you want to continue using it for a little bit longer. And then you take the brine shrimp that came out of it, and you put them in your tank, or you rinse it off, and then you put it in your tank, I think is what's the most widely accepted thing is. Now, some other things specifically to this Zis 2-liter hatchery, and 2 liters is pretty large. You know, there's been a lot of these homemade 2-liter bottle hatcheries made in the past. And it's funny that they have a similar concept where basically you set it all up. You got air coming in, and then another tube out here with like a really similar mechanism that I was showing you before. So you'd have something coming out this way, and you just extract some shrimp. Part of what's great about this is how versatile it is. So they put this handle on it. So this handle could be a lot of different things. It could be go into like a 2x4 perhaps, or a small block of wood. It can sit on the side of an aquarium. Even my 210 will fit this thing onto the side of it. If it's like a Dream on a 55, and you can mount it inside the aquarium, or you can mount it outside the aquarium. If you mount it inside the aquarium, you could take advantage of the heat that your water is at already. So you've got a heater inside of your aquarium, and you want to, I think the optimal temperature was like between 80 and 82 degrees. So if you want to get your setup to that temperature, an easy way is just to put it inside of your aquarium. You can also keep it outside if for some reason you prefer. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to take the stand, and I'm actually going to put it in my sump. And I'm hoping that the sump, right here, this length, I'm hoping it will be tall enough to kind of sit just above the water, so the water's about here. I feel really good about this part not leaking at the bottom. I'm not so sure if I trust this lid not to just kind of come off. It's kind of like, I mean, it's on there, but it's not on there great. This kit also comes with a thermometer. It's kind of fragile, and it just has this little gasket to keep it from falling to its death inside of here. There's nothing to keep it from flying out, like if this lid comes off or somehow, or you're messing around, you have to remember to hold this thing or mind it that it doesn't get broken. It is only in Celsius. Celsius is not too bad. If you take the Celsius value, you double it and add 30, you have Fahrenheit. That's the easy way. This kit also comes with a space for a heater at the top. That brine shrimp direct thing, I noticed said do not add a heater directly to it, but they didn't really elaborate on that. So I probably need to do a little bit of research. It kind of makes sense. It kind of does it. Well, if you look on their website, they have a YouTube. Zis has a YouTube page, and they made like a 2 or 3 minute romantic shot video of this thing being mounted different ways, and they showed it with a heater inside. Now, my issue with the heaters is like that little line, that minimum fill level line, is usually pretty high towards the top of the heater, and I wonder how it'd be a very specific heater to fit in here. You know, even though water's a little low because I've been playing with it. I mean, I guess if your water level was all the way up to here, it still seems like it would be sort of borderline on most of the heaters I've seen that would fit, you know, traditional those tube heaters that would fit in there. So I'm not too sure about the heater hole. In fact, I planned on just like shoving a sponge or something in there just to kind of keep anything from splashing out, because there'll be this bubbling air stone in the bottom. I guess I really didn't show the other side. I kind of skipped ahead. It also came with this hard plastic. It's kind of a rigid plastic hose and an air stone. And it looks like this is an air stone that can be disassembled and cleaned, which is nice. Real small plastic, unassuming little air stone. I'd say on the plus side, it's an attractive piece. It's got a pretty decent plastic. This lid feels like every piece of aquarium equipment I've ever had, but this clear part down here Definitely feels like it's more like what they would make an aquarium out of in terms of the quality of the plastic or acrylic or whatever it is. This handle is nice and sturdy, which is important because it can be mounted that way. There'll probably be a lot of pressure on that. Even if you're just walking around with it, you want that handle to be nice and thick and sturdy. I like the way this works and stuff. I've heard a lot of people kind of ragging on the base, saying the base is too low. And in a way it kind of is. Like, you know, it is kind of hard for me to get my hands in here, but I think it was meant to be used like this. And even like this, I can easily get my hand in there to you know, extract some shrimp if I want to. So, oh no. It'd be neat if you could kind of walk up to it like a smoothie machine. And if you're just filling up like little ramekin cups or something like that, you could easily probably make that work. I'd say another advantage to a system like this versus like a DIY system is that some of the engineering issues have been kind of worked out. The tapered end here at the bottom. Now you get that in like a 2-liter traditional American anyway, 2-liter Coke bottle. You kind of get that anyway with that tapered bottom. But this is definitely much wider. I like the squared off shape. It makes it a little bit easier to deal with it when you're hanging it on things. It kind of naturally keeps it from rolling around too much. I think the thermometer's pretty neat, but it's a little fragile, and I'm not sure I like the way it can come out. It's got this hole that you really kind of have to deal with. You probably would want to stop it up. If this is going to be churning and bubbling, now you might have this real low. I don't think you have to have it like in like a lot of turmoil inside that water for this to work right. Some people do it without any air whatsoever. But if you are going to have exploding bubbles like approximately right here in the middle, you're probably going to want something over the hole here at the top. Another thing that could maybe be considered a negative is that usually when people do brine shrimp hatcheries, they want to do a lot of them. And while this would be a really, really cool to have like 20 of these going, or even 2 or 3 of these, I don't think it would be too expensive to maybe have 2 or 3 of these going, but certainly a lot more expensive than kind of rigging something with 2 liters. By a fair margin too. I mean, I'm not just meaning a little bit. But if you've got a really nice pristine setup, if cost is no object, you could do a whole row of these and like get them going in a cycle. Almost everyone that's been successful breeding fish and rearing babies from those fish have all done this at some point. There are a lot of different live foods. I think this is by far the easiest to make yourself. If you got little tiny baby fish, almost, not all, but almost every tiny little baby fish can eat what's grown in a shrimp hatchery. So this thing's nice and industrial. I like the tapered bottom. I like the way this mechanism works. The way the air stone fits in there. I did trim the hose a little bit to kind of get the air stone a little bit up out of the middle. It kind of made the lid want to pop up a little bit more than I was comfortable with. So I trimmed that hose down just a little bit. I hear a lot of people talk about they're big fans of these air stones. I've never personally used this one, so I'll have to let you know. If this all works out, you've been looking at pictures of brine shrimp this whole time that I shot from my exploits with the hatchery, and I've shown you exactly how I'm going to put this into play. But the sum should work just fine. I'm sure it did. Hey folks, thanks for stopping in. This has been the Artema blender, or the ZH2000, now available at Aquarium Co-Op, along with the various other products that I've shown you today. And that's it. Thank you so much, Corey, for sending this out. What a cool project. I can't wait to dig into it and learn more about keeping brine shrimp. I got several little fish that I would love if they bred, and I'm hoping an improved diet of baby brine shrimp, or Artema, will make them oh so happy. I can't wait to let you guys see the results. Once again, I have to thank my producers on Patreon. Thank you so much for your contributions. You know how much it means to me, and you keep it going, and I really appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, and finally subscribe if you like this content, because I'll be back with more stuff very soon. I'm sorry this video is a bit late. It's been a really rough week, and I'm just kind of going at my own pace this weekend. It's probably been the most emotionally charged week of my life. But I'll probably talk about that in another video when I'm ready to share. I've got a big surprise coming for you guys that's coming in from Fluval, and It's going to be here any day now, and we'll be talking about that. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Help me beat that algorithm with a little bit of input from you would be terrific. It really means a lot. Until we meet again, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you folks for stopping in. This has been the Zis. Look at this. And that's it. That's the Zis. Look at that. I can tell you that in the, I could